There's this idea that Stoicism is about resignation, that it's about disempowerment, because it's about accepting things that are not in our control, that it's about tolerating discomfort, whatever, and maybe you think that that's not motivating enough. But it's important to know that Stoicism, there's a part of that, but that's all about getting rid of the stuff that doesn't matter so you can focus on what does matter. So when Marcus Aurelius says, like, if it is humanly possible, regard it as possible for you to do it. And what he means by that is, like, if the human species is capable of overcoming this adversity or enduring that, or this athletic accomplishment, or this brilliant creative breakthrough, or this wonderful act of selflessness, you're capable of that too. So when I see people who are kind of fragile or sensitive or they don't believe in themselves, I want them to think about the great tradition that you come from. You come from an unbroken line of survivors. By definition, your ancestors survived the plague and the Civil War and the Reformation and came out of caves and survived on the savannah and crossed oceans and endured frost and freezes and famines, and you're here. You are no different than your relatives who survived the Second World War, the Holocaust. You're no different than the ones who survived the Inquisition or purges. We are heirs to that tradition. If it's possible for other people to do it, you have to know that you can do it. So to me, that Stoicism is deeply inspiring. You know, Marcus Aurelius, he over and over again, he uses this metaphor of fire. And he says, what you throw in the fire is fuel for the fire. So don't think about it as like, I haven't done this, I've struggled. Think about these obstacles as teaching you something, as preparing you for something, as giving you an opportunity for greatness. I keep this Amor Fati coin in my pocket to remind myself that, like, I have that power, that, like, everything life is throwing in front of me is fuel. Whether it's, criticism from an editor, whether it's getting rejected by a publisher, whether it's some failure, something I messed up in my personal life or a bad business decision, anything tough I face in my life, I don't see that as like a setback. I go, this is a test, this is fuel, I'm gonna use this, I'm gonna be better for this. And that I know that I come from people who have survived far worse than this. How many people 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago would kill for the first world problems we have today? And so we want to be not just like, oh yeah, I can do this, but be grateful that we have the opportunity to prove ourselves. Seneca says, like, you should actually pity the person who's never dealt with obstacles, who's never felt what you are feeling, because they don't know what they're capable of. Nobody knows what they're capable of, not even themselves. And so you, by getting this test, by getting this difficulty, are actually being chosen, you're being groomed to be better and stronger and faster and able to endure more. And so that's how we want to think about challenges. That's the Stoic mindset. So Stoicism isn't powerlessness. It's in fact extremely empowering when you realize, look, I don't control what happened. This isn't my fault. I wouldn't have chosen this. But since it's here now, what I'm gonna focus on is what I do control, which is how I respond. Hey, it's Ryan. I just want to thank you for your support of Daily Stoic. If you want to support us, NPR style, have a membership, you can go to dailystoiclife.com, and that's our membership program. It helps keep the lights on for us. It keeps these videos ad-free. You get all sorts of exclusive Daily Stoic content. You get extra emails on the weekends. You get discounts in the Daily Stoic store. You get direct access to me. You get to join our Facebook group. Other awesome stuff. Go to dailystoiclife.com and support us. We really appreciate it. And thank you for liking and subscribing and commenting on our videos. You would not be here if you were not part of a chain of survivors. It's biologically impossible. Your parents and their parents, going back hundreds, thousands of generations, were people who just fucking survived. You have that in you. In the way you go, like, oh, it's unfair, like that guy's dad was an NBA player, and so of course he's good at basketball. And it's like, yeah, but your parents were fucking survivors, and so were their, people landed on the East Coast of America and they made it all the way to the West Coast. You know how hard that is? Yeah. They gutted that shit out. And the people who couldn't cut it, they died. Yeah. And they did not create the next generation. Yeah. So you are a part of an unbroken series of survivors and like the strongest people you could possibly imagine. And so, like, think about that, let it give you some strength, because you have that in you. It's just like they go like, most people have all the body mass and strength to like run a marathon. They just don't actually have the willpower to run a marathon, right? So it's like you have all the ingredients. You just gotta get them in the right place, and you can do basically anything. Yeah. Marcus Aurelius' line says like, if it's humanly possible, you can do it, right? Like somebody did it, so it can be done.
And this is a conversation I had the other day. Is if you said, no way in hell can I run a marathon, let's say an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
If I said, okay, I'm gonna, every month that you don't run a marathon, I'm gonna show up and cut one of your fingers off.
Yeah.
You'd run a marathon probably on month 2. You'd probably let me cut one finger off.
You'd see if you're serious. And then
you can do it.
Of course
it's just about finding you don't have the same motivation.
And in a way, that should be empowering, because you're like, I can. I've just chosen not to.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to choose to. Like, I heard this, I forget where it was, but it's something that stuck with me. They go like, because I say things like this all the time. I'm like, we'll buy some furniture at IKEA. And like, I'll be like, I'm not good at assembling IKEA furniture. Yeah. So maybe I'll pay someone to do it, or maybe my wife will do it. But like, why did I say I'm not good at it? It's, I've chosen not to be good at this thing.
Yep.
Like, so I don't feel bad about it anymore, because it's like, oh, that's just not a thing I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But I don't walk around like adding to my identity that I'm like incompetent. You know, like, of course I could. I've just chosen not to. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but you should try to live a life where you're actively challenging yourself to choose to do hard things.
Well, I mean, this is coming from a guy who lives on a farm and like wrangles bulls and stuff. So.
Not quite, but yes, I like I try to live a life that's like active and challenges me, and it puts me, I think, comforts the enemy, you know?
Yeah, big time.